guys, this is LegoMatic 9, and today I'm going to be doing my video on my custom LEGO Star Wars Episode 7 The Force Awakens minifigures. I have 9 figures to show you guys, and I'm really excited to do this. I know I haven't really posted a video in the past 3 or 4 weeks, and that's because I've been working on these guys quite a bit. Also, I want to apologize for my voice. I kind of have a cold right now, so I apologize for that. But I apologize for not having this video out a few days sooner. I was planning on having it out Thursday, and then when that didn't happen, I was like, okay, I'll have it out Friday. And then I was like, okay, that's not happening. And so then today's Saturday, today I'm recording this, so this either will go up Saturday night or Sunday morning. But I never got the chance to do that, but I've seen Force Awakens twice so far, and I absolutely love it. I'm not going to do any spoilers in this video, because I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but I want to let you guys know that this is part 1. Okay, I'm going to have, I think, one more video, but that's going to come out later in January, because I want to make some figures that you wouldn't see unless you see the movie, so I don't want it to be any potential spoilers for anybody. But I can tell you, this video doesn't have Captain Phasma in it, and that's because I've been experimenting with my custom Captain Phasma quite a bit, and I'm trying to get the process down so I can actually make the figure right, because Lego's version is pretty good, but I just want to do something a little more unique than what other people are doing. Then it's also going to have R2 and a C-3PO. They're going to be in there as well, and maybe some Stormtroopers or something, but there's going to be other figures in it as well. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the close-ups on all 9 of these custom Force Awakens minifigures. So we're going to start off with the dark side characters, considering I only have 2 of them. So let's go ahead and start off with the main villain, who is Kylo Ren. Now, Kylo Ren here has a lot of different things on him that I haven't really done with figures before, but I'll get into those a little later. But first off, like all my figures, let's go ahead and start with his weapon. Now, his weapon is this signature cross-guard lightsaber. Now, this lightsaber is sweet. It was definitely really awesome to see in the movie, so I wanted to capture the look of it pretty well in Lego form, because I feel like Lego's version was a little too big, and there weren't any other really good ways to do it. But what I did is I took the lightsaber hilt and I chopped off one of the ends here. Then on the other end, I attached the Lego part, the Lego cross saber, and I plugged it into the other side of the hilt, and then I sculpted the hilt around it, which I think looks pretty cool. It gives it that bulk that the hilt would have, so it looks flush and doesn't look inconsistent with the rest of the saber. So I sculpted out that on there with a putty called Procreate, and then I painted it in a gunmetal color. That has some black details painted on there as well, and some gloss black, because matte black wasn't really showing up. You have a little gold detail here on the bottom there. You have this red button there, which you can see was sculpted on there. And then the other side of it is pretty much the same, just a little less detail. I'm trying to get it just in focus. So yeah, there's Kylo Ren's cross saber. I'm actually going to leave that on him because it looks pretty cool. So moving on to the figure, he has a lot of cloth accessories. I really like what I did with the cloth. Not a lot of people have done it, but I will give credit to my friend Andy, or Delta Customs. He can be found on Flickr, YouTube, and Instagram, so he will be linked in the description below. Andy inspired me actually to make the Kylo Ren the way I did it, because I think he was actually the first one to sculpt the Kylo Ren mask, so I wanted to do that as well, because I thought it looked pretty cool. And then I may be mistaken, but I believe he used cloth on the torso as well, but I'm not exactly sure, but I'm going to credit him anyway. So shout out to my friend Andy. With the legs here, the legs were pretty easy. They're just solid black. They have some gloss black detailing painted on there for the boots, as you can see there. And then on the top of the belt, I glued on a Cape Madness cape, and what I did is I wrapped it all the way around the figure there, and it cut up some certain areas, because he has that waist cape that goes all the way around, but it has the opening at the front for the legs to move, then it has the openings on the side. So I wanted to capture that pretty well, and I felt like painting it on wasn't really a good choice, and that fabric was the way to go. Moving on to the torso. So the torso is fairly easy. It was just a blank black torso, and what it is, I took another cape and I glued it onto the torso there, and then cut it off so it looks uniform with the torso. And you can see it right there. I have a gloss black line painted down the center of it, which looks pretty cool. That's just to separate, just give it some I guess depth or whatever in there. Then he has the other layers of cloth glued onto the top part there to show cloak like wrapping around his collar and coming down onto his chest a little bit. Then he has a belt sculpted on, which I think looks pretty cool. Definitely like how that turned out again using Procreate. So I sculpted it out on there, painted it black, and then added some gunmetal details because I felt like it needed a little more detailing on there. Moving on to the arms here. The arms, they're pretty easy. What they are is just plain black arms painted with the matte black color, and then instead of using gray like I know a lot of people have been using for the accents on the arms or the layers, I used a gloss black, which I think looks pretty cool because it doesn't take away, like distract you or anything from the figure. So he has some gloss black lines painted on there, so you can see the light reflecting off those. So that those look pretty cool. I really like how those came out. And I also used tiny tactical sleeve extensions, which look pretty cool just because he has those sleeves that go all the way to his gloves. So I decided to add those on there just to give the figure a little more uniqueness. Now his cape here was just a regular Cape Madness cape or Lego cape. You could use either one, and I just chopped it up and folded it in other areas, gave some creases, and it looks pretty cool. The helmet, again, like I said, is sculpted using Procreate, so I really like how the helmet turned out. It's got a lot of detail on it. Let me see if I can zoom in at all. Nope, it's not going to let me zoom in anymore, but you can see there the helmet. I really like how the helmet turned out. Again, that is all sculpted, and it looks really nice. It's got a gloss black visor and some silver details painted around that, and then everything else is in a matte black color. So you can see all the little details sculpted into the mouth part there, as well as some of the other black details painted into the silver. Then Cape Madness hood, not a big fan of these because they kind of come to a point right here. They look like they're coming to a triangle, but there weren't really any other options for me. Then you can see I sculpted the helmet up to there. That's about as far as it goes. I didn't sculpt anything on the back because I knew I wasn't going to be taking anything off. So that is pretty much it for Kylo Ren. Let's go ahead and move on to the other figures. So we just got done talking about Kylo Ren for a little too long, but let's move on to the next figure, which is General Hux. Now Hux is a pretty simple figure to make, so hopefully this will go by a little quicker. So Hux here has a Cape Madness trench coat that has been modified quite a bit to look like Hux's does in the movie. So it's just cut up, and it has some gray details as well as some gloss black detailing around the collar of the trench coat. So I just think that looks pretty cool. The torso is pretty simple. What it is just some gray paint on there to form the collar. It's got a silver belt. Looks pretty good. Nothing else really on there. The arm is probably the most complicated thing to make. He's got the little rings that go around his wrist. Then he has the First Order logo painted in a silver, black, and red color scheme. So I really like how that turned out. I'm a big fan of that. And then nothing was really done to his head or his hat. They're just the Lego versions of it. I didn't feel like I really needed to do anything. And nothing on the back. So yeah, that's pretty much it for General Hux. He was a pretty simple figure to make, so I'm glad that I made him because he's pretty easy. So there's another look at that logo again. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for General Hux. So now let's move on to the light side characters, and we're going to start with none other than Han Solo. So Han was my favorite character, my favorite hero character from the original trilogy, so I was super excited to see him in Force Awakens, and just that Chewie we're home experience in the second teaser was just amazing, so I was super happy and super pleased with his performance in The Force Awakens. And so let's go on with the figure. So he's got a Brick Arms DL44 blaster, which was modified by me. And what I did to it is I just painted the muzzle a gunmetal color, and then I painted the grip brown, and then washed it in a gunmetal silvery color to give it that battle damaged look. It's kind of hard to notice on camera, but it's definitely there. So I'm just going to leave that in his hands because, you know, signature weapon, got to keep it there. So moving on to the legs. The legs were kind of a challenge because what Lego did is they used black legs, even though that's super inaccurate to Han in the movie. So I used some reddish brown legs, and I painted on his dark brown boots, and then I painted on his holster belt, which looks kind of saggy, but if you look at pictures of Han in the movie, he's got, you know, the belt around his actual waist, and then his holster belt kind of sags down a little bit. So I was kind of comparing with that. So I think I could have raised this up a little more, but I'm pleased with it. I'm not going to change it or anything unless people hate it. So I'm just going to leave it like it is now. So it's got that big silver buckle in the middle there with some dark brown belt straps that go up onto the actual belt piece and continue on the legs and such. And then it's got some black outlining to it, some gloss black outlining, because I figured matte black was kind of too similar to the dark brown, so I wanted something to stand out, and so that's what it did. So This part actually continues down the leg. It's got the smaller silver buckle, and it goes onto the side of the leg here with the holster section. I didn't actually make a holster for this figure because I felt like it would be kind of too big. And it continues onto the back there. You can see all the other little details painted on for the belt, and then the actual belt on there. The actual belt around his belt piece was in a chocolate brown color, and then I painted on the silver buckle, no, the gunmetal buckle, my bad, and then the black buckle holes. So moving on to the torso here, torso is just a white torso, and I painted on his collar piece in a dark gray color, and then I used light gray to do the little detail there, and then I used light gray to do the wrinkles on his torso as well, because I thought it was a little too bland. He's also got the flesh painted up at the top. His jacket is a Cape Madness vest that was modified just a little bit. So with this figure, I wanted to do a 3D vest because I felt like painting it was getting a little old, and so I wanted something to be actual 3D. So I really like how this turned out. It's got some black details painted on. Right here I used Tiny Tactical Chem Lights. I used the holsters for those and painted them silver to use those little capsules that he has on his jacket there. Then he has some black details painted on there. They continue all the way onto the back, like we saw before. And then this side does have some other details. Let me move his hand down a little bit. So you can see the other little black details painted on his jacket there, which look pretty nice. That he has no, those are gloss black buttons and stuff right there. I was wondering why they're reflecting some light. So his face was just the normal Han Solo face. I think do I have a Han down here? Yeah. So it's just this face, and then modified a little bit to make him look a little older, because for the Lego one was kind of unnecessarily baggy around the eyes. So I felt like I just needed to make an entirely new head. So I just used the Lego head of the younger Han Solo, painted the eyebrows a dark gray, and then added some wrinkles in there, and I think it turned out nice. He's got forehead wrinkles, and he also has wrinkles under his eyes a little bit that you can see. And then his hair is just some gray hair that was washed in a dark gray color to give it some good looks in there. So I think that looks pretty cool. Han is definitely one of my favorite characters in the Star Wars universe. I think I actually like him better than Boba, so he's really awesome. I really like how this figure turned out. And yeah, so that's it for Han Solo. Let's move on to some of the other heroes. Just to keep up the trend with the original trilogy characters, let's go ahead and move on to Chewbacca. So Chewbacca was definitely the figure that was holding me back to get this video out, because I wanted to make Chewbacca right, because he's a tall guy. Here he is compared with the actual Chewbacca minifigure that I used before this, so you can see that he's taller than that. And then if you compare him with another figure, we'll just grab Han, he's taller than Han there. So I want to give a huge shout out to my friend Dylan or TheMooseFigs, as well as my friend Billy or bilbobful. Links to their channels and media will be in the description below. I use some of their techniques and some of their help to make Chewbacca the accurate height, so I'll get into that a little later. But for now, we'll start with Chewbacca's weapon, which is his bowcaster. So I think this bowcaster is pretty cool looking. What I did for it is I just used a standard Lego crossbow, and then I added on the double scopes. I added on a new barrel to it. I added on the round things at the end there, like the stabilizers or whatever. Added on the string, and then added on a new stock, which is a brick arm Sten gun stock. My bad. So I think it looks pretty cool. Painted it all on a matte black color, and then gave it a gunmetal wash. So I think it looks pretty sweet. So let's go ahead and just take that off for now. So Chewie here was definitely a different figure for me to make. So what I did for him is I extended his legs using a technique. I think Dylan has a photo of that up on his Flickr, so you can go check that out. He explains it pretty well. That was Billy's idea, but then Dylan posted a video with a whole bunch of them. It's definitely not that hard of a technique. If anybody wants to explain, I'll talk about it in the comments. But moving on to the legs, you can see that they're sculpted. They're longer and they're extended and they're sculpted on, which looks pretty cool, because I felt like if they were blank, it would be a little too lame. So I wanted to sculpt on the fur, and I think it turned out all right. I'm not really big on sculpting big areas like that and sculpting fur and hair and stuff like that. So it's a new experience for me, and I think I did okay on it. It's not my best, but it's pretty good. Then I painted on his toes as well in a dark gray color down there. He's got two color schemes going on. He's got a dark gray and then this kind of tannish gray, which looks pretty cool. Try to blend that as much as possible, so I think it looks pretty good. He's got sculpted on extended arms, which looks pretty cool. And then all this detail just painted all around him and stuff. I think it's pretty cool. Yeah, not a lot to talk about, just a lot of sculpting and a lot of extending limbs and stuff. So that's pretty much it for Chewbacca. Not a lot else to talk about. So let's go ahead and move on to some other figures. So the last original trilogy figure I have for you guys is General Leia. So there weren't really a lot of pictures for General Leia. I know there's a Lego minifigure coming out with the Resistance Troop Transport coming out in January, I think. So there weren't really a lot of pictures to base it off of. So I apologize if any of this is inaccurate. But Leia was actually kind of a hard figure to make, mainly because I just had to match that color scheme she had. Because she had the purple, which was easy. But then it was like the sand green color. It was like a green-gray mess. So I had to mix that color, and I think it turned out pretty nice. It's pretty accurate to General Leia's outfit in The Force Awakens. So starting out with the legs there, you can see she just has some really simple black boots painted on there. Pretty simple. I like to keep the boots simple, at least for figures like this. Finn's shoes are a little different, but her shoes are pretty simple. Then her torso just has some, I think did I use black? Yeah, I used black detail for that. For her collar and stuff. Then there's also some other dark green details in there. And then she has a gloss black belt with a silver buckle painted on there, which looks pretty nice. She's got a purple Cape Madness jacket on there. It was actually a trench coat, but since her vest was a little longer, I bought the trench coat so I could make the vest a little bigger. So she just has some gloss black details painted on there. Then literally nothing on the back. It's just pretty simple. Her face is the Leia face from the Shuttle Tidarium set, and what it is, I just repainted the eyebrows and I painted on some wrinkles around her mouth there, you can see, and then under her eyes. I wasn't really sure what else to add to her, but I think this works for now until I actually get the actual Lego General Leia head. And then her hair is just that Jedi style hairpiece that she has. So I just took that. When I say Jedi, I mean Return of the Jedi, not legit Jedi. And then she has basically the same hairstyle in Force Awakens, so I just went with that, and I painted it in a tan color, washed it in brown, and then I washed it in a dark gray too, just to add in all that detail. So yeah, that's pretty much it for General Leia. Not a lot of details on her. You just see like under there, her collar and stuff. And yeah, so that's pretty much it for General Leia. So now let's move on to the new batch of heroes, and we're going to start off with Finn. So this figure's kind of a spoiler if you haven't watched anything based on Force Awakens or anything, but if you've seen the trailers and the teasers and stuff, you guys know that Finn uses Luke's or Anakin's or just the Skywalker family lightsaber at some point in the movie. So I decided to make this, actually, and inspiration for this goes to my friend Yale, or 97 Lego Maniac. He made one like this a little while back, and I saw it and I said, you know, that's a pretty good idea, so I did it as well. I didn't use the same thing he did. I didn't follow the same procedure he did to make it, so mine's different than his, but he definitely inspired me to do that, so go check him out. So this lightsaber was just made out of a standard Lego lightsaber with a lot of modifications done to it. Such being the grips added at the bottom here. I only have 6, but there should be 7. I got the Force Effects lightsaber, so I was able to point that out real quick. I used the wrong number of grips on there. And then also this gold button right here, it should be on the other side. So that's kind of inaccurate, but it works. It definitely looks cool. Really like how it turned out. I was using just a standard Lego lightsaber, and I used some Procreate to add all those little details on there. So I think it's pretty cool. Definitely pretty unique. The blade is removable, but it's kind of a pain in the butt to get out, so I'm just going to just not do that right now. So moving on to Finn here. Finn was actually pretty fun of a figure to make. He was pretty simple, relatively, besides the jacket. But we'll start it down with the legs. He just has some black legs. I painted on the little knees in there, just because they seemed really bland, and I didn't want to do anything else, like big fancy stuff or whatever on his legs, so I just painted those on there, and they look fine. I have his white shoes. I wasn't sure if his shoes were white, tan, or brown, or I don't even know, so I just did white, and well, I did light gray, and then I washed it in white, and then I washed it in some more gray, so they look pretty cool. I was just kind of going off, like, he's a stormtrooper, so he'd probably have white boots. So I was just kind of basing it off of that and some reference photos, but I think they turned out pretty nice. And they have some gray detail painted on there as well, which looks pretty cool. And they've got a black base to them. This side of his leg has a pocket down there, so I think that's pretty cool. Just wanted to add that little detail on there. Moving on to the torso. The torso is probably the most busy area of the figure. So you can see he's just got a black shirt underneath it, and then I painted on some wrinkles, and then he has the collar up at the top with the skin tone painted on there as well. So the jacket was the most challenging part of this figure, I'd say. It's just a Cape Madness jacket, and what it is, I took another piece of fabric and I cut it up to that trapezoid shape that sticks out there, and I used some tape on the back of it, and I taped it to the actual Cape Madness jacket, and then I put a little bit of glue in between them just to hold them together, and I think it turned out really nice. You can't really notice it that well that it's been glued in there, but it looks pretty cool. So this side of the jacket has a lot of detail. You have the red stripe up there, you have that zipper thing or whatever, that buckle up there, and then you have some other little things hanging off of it, so I think that's pretty cool. This arm has some lines on it just for stitching. Then the back has a lot of other stitching painted on there, which looks pretty cool. Then that arm's the same as the other side. And then this side of the jacket, not a lot going on. You just have a little pocket right there, and then you have that red up on the shoulder area. And then his face is just the normal Lego Finn face, and then with the normal Finn hair. So yeah, that's pretty much it for Finn. I really like how he turned out. He's definitely one of my favorite out of my bunches, or the bunch that I made. So yeah, that's pretty much it for Finn. Next up, we have Rey. Now, in Force Awakens, Rey was probably my favorite character out of the new characters added in. I just really loved her story and just really loved her as a character. So, if you guys haven't seen it already, go see it. Let me know what you think, if you agree with me or not, or whatever. But onto the figure, I just need to give a huge shout out to Yale again, a 97 Lego Maniac. He gave me some huge inspiration on this figure. He's the reason why I used the cloth accessories on this figure, is because I really liked how different it looked from some of the other ones, because I knew a lot of people were going to be painting those robes on or whatever, so I wanted to do something different, and Yale inspired me to do that, so big shout out to him again. So Rey here is armed with her staff that she uses throughout the movie. What I did is I just sculpted on some straps near the bottom, but we're going to take that off for now. So that's all that I added to that, was just the straps. Then it was washed in a silver. But moving on to the figure here, the figure actually wasn't all that hard to make. So starting with the legs here, I just used a pair of flesh legs. I think they were Slave Leia legs from a little while ago. I just had a spare, so I just decided to use them up. So what I did is I painted on her dark tan shorts, and then she has the brown boots on there, and then you have the little skin showing, so I think that's pretty cool. Now, the torso was probably the hardest part about this figure. What it is an areolite curved torso, and what I did is I took a Cape Madness trench coat, and I cut it up so it was the shape of her I guess her clothing or her robes or whatever you want to call them. So I cut them up to that and I glued them on there, and then I painted all the other detail around it, added the belt, which I think turned out pretty nice. Again, that's made out of a trench coat, and I just glued that on there. I painted it in a dark brown, then painted it over with a light brown, so it looks like it kind of has like a fading effect near the edges there. And then also on the clothing, you see I added some wrinkles on there just for some I don't know, depth or whatever you want to call it. So this side extends all the way around, and it goes like that, but this side is not connected, which I really like how that turned out. Here she's got the belt. Then she also does have the straps up on the top, up on her shoulders, so that continues up there, which is pretty cool. Then her belt does wrap around all the way, so that's pretty cool as well. So torso, again, just went over that. The arms just have the sleeves, like, I don't know what you want to call them. They're like kind of like elbow pad things almost. They're just like not even connecting anything. She's just wearing them on there. And then this side she has like a brown gauntlet, and that side's just not. So those are painted in a mixture of light gray and light tan. I mixed those together, so it gave me this cool color, and then I went over that with some dark gray lines to make it look like she had little folds in it, and then washed it off in a brown and tan. Her face is just the standard Lego Rey face, didn't really do anything to that, and then her hair is the exact same. I'm thinking about sculpting on. She's got the hair that comes down, like the little thin strands that come down the side of her face, so I'm thinking about sculpting those on, but I'm not sure yet. We'll have to see. I want to get another Rey figure before I do that, just in case I never get one. So Rey turned out pretty nice. I really like how she turned out, so let me know what you guys think of her in the comments. So let me get her staff. Yeah, so there is Rey. So now we have the Resistance pilot Poe Dameron. Now Poe, I wasn't really sure what I was going to be doing for Poe. I was honestly thinking, oh, I'll just paint some boots on him and we'll be good, but then I felt like I needed to do a little more than that. So what I did for Poe is I completely recolored his vest. Here you have just a standard Lego Force Awakens X-Wing pilot, and you can see that his vest is a little faded. It seems a little more like their white wasn't printed on properly all the way. So what I did for Poe is I completely recolored everything on his vest. So I repainted all of the white on there, and I just think it looks really good. So that's pretty much all I did for the torso. Is I just added on the white there, and it extends all the way around to the back. Some areas I left untouched. I left them that faded white color because I felt like they kind of made it look like there's some shadows and stuff. So I really like how that turned out. I'm glad I did that. It's definitely a lot better than just leaving it blank. Then, besides the torso, the stuff I added on to him was just his boots, where he just had shoes, because I felt like if I added boots, there wouldn't be enough room to add these straps that he has. So I added on those straps near the bottom. There's this dark gray straps with the silver buckles. Then he has like one other black strap that goes all the way around like that. And there's also some little silver canisters and something like right near the edge right there. You can kind of see them there. Kind of hard to see. I think they're gunmetal, but you can kind of see them. And then, you know, there's the other side. I extended the straps that go around his legs like that. So those go all the way around rather than just be on the front. So I like how those turned out. And then on his arms weren't really that difficult. This side has a stripe, and it's got some other details up on the shoulder. And then that side just has a single stripe. Then I gave him a pair of tiny tactical glove tops just to make him look a little more cooler. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. I didn't do anything to the face. I felt the face Lego made was perfect for him, and then the helmet was perfect for him. This is my only Poe, so I didn't want to destroy his helmet in any way, so I just left that all up to Lego's printing. I mean, I could have extended that red line there, but that means that I probably would have had to recolor all of the red to match it. So I decided to just leave that blank. But yeah, that's Poe. No weapons or anything like that. He didn't really use any weapons in the film because, you know, he's a pilot. So I didn't really have to do anything like that. So that's pretty much it for Poe. I really like how he turned out. I'm really proud of the of recoloring its torso. I think that turned out really nice. Oh, one other thing is that it does go up on top of his shoulders up there. Take that off. You can see it. So it extends all the way up there. So I really like how that turned out. Really cool. I didn't sculpt anything like some others did, but I just left it like that. So that's pretty much it for Poe Dameron. Last up, we have the adorable BB-8. Now, in the movie, I wasn't really expecting BB-8 to be all that great, but I think he was fantastic. So I really wanted to make BB-8 look right, because I feel like Lego's was a little weird. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, this is what the original one looked like, where it has the giant stud on the bottom and the giant stud on the top. So I felt like those were kind of unnecessary. Like, I get that they're wanting it to like plug into things and stuff, and you'd be able to put stuff on the top, but that's just from a customizer standpoint. I know other people wouldn't really care, but I just feel like they didn't do it as properly as they could. So what I did is I shaved off those two studs, and I love how it looks without those. So all I did to it is I outlined all 4 of the orange circles in a dark gray, and then I added some dark gray bolts and some dark gray lines as well, just to give it a little more detail. I wasn't really going all out because I know he has other details that extend off of the circles, but I felt like it would get a little too busy, like it'd be a little cramped in that area. So I just left those off just so it'd look nice and not too crowded. His head, I didn't do anything except for shave off the top of it, and then I added on his 2 antennas. He had one that was silver and black, then the other one was just all white. At least at the beginning of the movie, that's what it was. I think it changed throughout it for some reason. That's not really a spoiler, but yeah. And then all I did is I just repainted that a white color, and then added a gray ring around it. So that's BB-8. He can't roll anywhere, unfortunately. I don't even know if that's possible, if you can get your droid this small to roll. But yeah, I really like how this BB-8 turned out. It's definitely a lot better than the standard Lego version. So that is it for BB-8. So let's go ahead and conclude this video. So I've seen Force Awakens twice now, and I'm probably going to see it probably 3 more times while it's still in theaters, or if I get tired of seeing it over and over again. I'd really appreciate it if you guys left the comment section spoiler-free, because I got something spoiled for me that kind of ruined the experience. I'm not going to tell you what it is, obviously, but I got something spoiled for me, and I really would have preferred to have not known it. So I would really prefer if you guys would leave the comment section spoiler-free, just in consideration for people who haven't seen the movie yet. I've left this entire video spoiler-free, so I'd appreciate if you guys left the comment section spoiler-free. And if you're worried about spoilers, I wouldn't even go down there unless you actually want to leave a comment. So please leave the comment section spoiler-free. I don't want anybody else's experience to be ruined. Mine wasn't completely ruined, but it was still a bummer to actually have that part of the film spoiled for me. So I'd appreciate if you guys left. I've said this like 20 times already. Leave the comment section spoiler-free, or else I'm going to have to remove the comment and block you, because I don't want anybody else to get that anything of the film spoiled for them. So that is pretty much it for this video. If you haven't seen the movie already, please do. It is a wonderful film. Better than all three of the prequels, definitely. I think it's my second favorite Star Wars movie to date. I like Empire the best, and then this one, and then I think Jedi, and then A New Hope, and then Revenge of the Sith, and then blah, 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 blah. Please go watch the movie if you haven't already. It's definitely worth it, and it's fantastic. So I'll leave you guys with that. Let me know in the comments below which of these figures is your favorite. Be sure to check out my Flickr, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Google Plus pages, because I tend to post on those as much as I can. And thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys later.